hours because all of a sudden we got breaking news developing in the boxing world, and it's headlined by a 47-year-old.
It was one of those things that it was a weird moment today, considering the fact that we were scheduled to start off with the aftermath of UFC 252, and then all of a sudden here we are talking about Oscar De La Hoya at 47 announcing his comeback. Like, really? That's what we're going with right now? Are we really interested in Oscar De La Hoya coming back at the age of 47? Because I'm iffy about this. I'm not 100% sold on the fact that here we are, folks. We've been talking about it before. If you're new to our stream right now on Sportscaster, we're new here. We're a combat sports talk show. We do this live every Wednesday. We were doing our show on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're over there, you then knew that we've talked about the returning or the emergence of Oscar De La Hoya potentially coming out of retirement. This is nothing new. The only thing that is new is that it's formally announced he is making his return at the age of 47. The interesting tidbit about this is the fact that Oscar De La Hoya is not returning this year. Oscar De La Hoya is returning in 2021.
What is interesting is that, Shaun, we have talked about Oscar De La Hoya, about the possibilities about De La Hoya coming back, have we not? On several occasions, we have discussed about De La Hoya coming back because of the issues with Golden Boy or the issues with the zone. And the issues have come together was the fact that money has been the issue. Oscar De La Hoya, though, has this kind of this hunger that never really left him from the ring.
Allegedly.
Yes, I say that allegedly because, honestly, at 47 years old, you have to figure out a way to spin this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So anybody in that age bracket, last time we saw De La Hoya, this guy quit on the stool against Manny Pacquiao. Fast forward to 2020 at 47 years old, he thinks he still has it at 154 or 160. I disagree with that. I think this is a money ploy. I think this is a money dig for him.
If you read what he had to say today about it, it's not a money grab. He says that the era of boxing in which we are right now, it's a money grab. Every fighter in this generation is all about the quick money. How can he benefit from the biggest fight or this, that, and the other? He says what's going in his favor is the fact that he still trains hard. He still runs 6 miles. He still boxes 6 rounds. His cardio is still better than some that are there now. And
he's going to start sparring this week.
Right? So he still feels comfortable that he can still go at this age. But the thing that I think about is, shoot, he's 47. How are his reflexes? These kids now may train less, may not train as hard as they did 15 years ago. But at the end of the day, Tristan, like, bro, they're still younger. They're still quicker.
Unfortunately,
he really thinks that his reflexes are the same that it was 15 years ago? I don't buy that at all, that his reflexes are the same.
I don't know. For a 47-year-old to step back into the inside of a squared circle and think that he could still take on the kids, all I got to think about is this.
Dummy. Yeah.
Seriously. I agree with Elijah Drake 100%. Dummy, yeah. There is no way this ends well for him. He says this is not an expedition fight. He's not going to the Mike Tyson route or the Roy Jones Jr. route. This is a real fight to him. I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach to this. I just don't see him making a name for himself. I don't see him doing anything remotely interesting in the division at 154 or 160.
And see, that's the interesting thing. The way that I look at it.
He's a name, and I can guarantee you every kid that's out there is going to be like, yes, I want him. See, but can you imagine a Ryan Garcia versus Oscar De La Hoya?
And I looked
Put up
at
or shut up at that moment?
And I looked at that, but unfortunately, you got Ryan Garcia that fights in the like the featherweight and
Yeah.
the lightweight.
Correct.
So he's about 20 pounds less than what Oscar De La Hoya
And
is.
De La Hoya won't do that again.
But again, you want to talk about an interesting tidbit. Okay, let me throw back. Who else does Oscar De La Hoya promote?
Canelo?
Canelo and him have had issues in the past. Canelo and him both fight at 160. You're talking about a potential money grab, or let's just put.
Do you want to put him in the coffin?
Who knows? Who knows what the end game is here, Tristan? Also, you want to talk about slightly lower reflexes or damage to the brain cells, whichever it may be. How about if, say, you do Triple G? Triple G needs a fight coming back.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talks between Oscar De La Hoya and Triple G over the years about whether or not they could get contracts lined up for their fighters. That would be definitely interesting.
That's what I'm saying.
But at 47, Sean, does he have a shot against Triple G?
He has a much better shot, I think, against Triple G than he would have against Canelo. I think that Canelo's still a young buck, and he doesn't have as much wear and tear on his tires as much as that of a Gennady Golovkin.
Right.
I think that's a completely different entity in itself.
But we don't have a date or a time officially when he's coming back. We know he is coming back.
Correct.
We don't know against who. We don't know a lot at this point. It just broke that he is coming out of retirement at 47 years old. So, congratulations, Oscar De La Hoya. You are just another old fighter that is stepping back aside, trying to regain what's left of his glory days. We talked about legacy last week, about DC's legacy, right, Sean, in the UFC. And we will switch to that here just a second. With the UFC 252, because Stipe Miocic versus DC happened. But Sean, what does this say about the legacy for Oscar De La Hoya? He comes back at 47, not a whole lot of championship ground in front of him. Last time we saw him, he quit on the stool. So what does his legacy say? Was once a great fighter, was once a legit contender for titles, now a shell of himself, a quitter, what we kind of...
To me, you've got such...
put in front of his name?
To me, his legacy's already been ruined on multiple levels, on multiple fronts, Tristan. Whether it was the disaster of his MMA attempt, whether it was him quitting on the stool.
Golden Boy MMA, what a sham that was.
I don't want to tarnish his name. I really don't. But the thing that I have an issue with is the fact that you look at everything that he's done, some good and some bad. The bad, to me, far outweighs anything good he's done for the sport. And it takes me back to the weird situation that we were in decades ago with Don King.
Yeah.
Don King had some weird stuff that happened. But yet
everybody... Can you believe Don King is being talked about coming back into the promoting game?
But you talk about that and what he's done, and it's just like, the stigma is still there. And you just want to hope that at some point it's a smart, strategic plan by Oscar De La Hoya.
This ain't the WWE, right? They can't just pray and hope that you forget about certain things.
And that's the thing.
You can't forget about what has transpired in Oscar De La Hoya's career or what has happened down the road to where we are at right now. You can't. It is there, and it is going to be kind of just pushed out there. So it's going to be interesting to see where he comes from, Sean, and what is made of this. But it's definitely going to be interesting, Sean.